Hello, 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 everyone. This is Mario
Hello.
Marty. Let's give it up for Eric and Marcella. How y'all doing
Hello.
today?
All right. Good evening.
So today we are going to talk about closure to the ships. We said ships, but we meant relationships, different types of relationships.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about this because, in 2023, is a little bit different than how it has been over the years, back when we were younger and then as adults. So we're going to start off with the question is, um, how are relationships being closed? What is the proper way to close and walk away from a relationship? And when I say relationship, I'm not just talking about boyfriend
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend or girlfriend girlfriend or boyfriend boyfriend. I'm talking about
Business,
friendships,
business. Yep.
Yes.
marriages, just like customer. I
Family.
mean, just pretty
It could
much
be
family.
family.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about all the above type relationships.
Yes.
So Eric, Marcelo, what does that mean to y'all?
Well, can I first start off? Um, because everybody closure is differently. So can I first start off by saying what the definition of closure means, and then I can. It says having a sense of understanding, peace, and acceptance, finality of the relationship, whether it's ended because of loss, rejection, or growing apart. Okay, and I think that that can sum it up with, like you said, all type of ships. But to me, closure is basically having that last conversation, and it ended on a note to where everybody can understand where they at once they both parts ways. That's closure to me.
Okay, Eric, what's your definition? All right, look, I already know Eric's definition. 'Cause I know ours is gonna probably be the same. But what's your definition of closure?
Oh
It,
Lord.
it, it, it's kind of the same thing. What's supposed to happen is how you came in is how you supposed to leave, but that's not always how it happened. We're gonna talk about that later, but it should be that, like she said, that last conversation to get an understanding as to why we going this way, where do we go from here, so on and so forth. It's the same on the business side. You know, you can come in, you and I can come in as business partners. You may not see the future of the company like I am, so or vice versa. Then that means you can ask to buy out, and it's not being rude or disrespectful. It's just you just want to buy your share, and how we came into that business venture is how we should leave as well. But that don't always happen. With the house of takeovers and other stuff. But the bottom line is, it should be where you have that one last conversation to figure out what went wrong and where do you go from here.
And see, I guess, and I'd say for my definition, it's like it's a term to where closure is understanding boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is like a closure is when you pretty much when you come into a friendship, or in my case, I would say more so a customership where a customer you come in place, or even a business relationship is
Mm-hmm.
we understand our boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and you want, like you said, you want things to be a pleasant closure to it, but sometimes you have to be, sometimes you have to leave on bad notes. Sometimes
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have to get down to it because some people don't understand. Leave me the hell alone. I mean, it's just
that is
those
so
are
true.
things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is because you have like in some things, and we see it all the time. And you have a domestic violence situation where someone in that relationship refuses to accept the reality of what's really going on.
Yeah.
So sometimes I mean, the key thing is you want to be able to walk away from a situation on peaceful terms, but sometimes it doesn't work out
That's
that
not
way.
the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where like when we get to that point where we have to depart from that person. In most cases, it's like you want to show the same respect you have for that relationship. Now,
Mm-hmm.
until you get to the point, because when you close something out, you do want to leave on a good note. Some cases you don't want to leave, but when you have to leave, you do want to leave on a good note.
Yes.
And I think that's what in 2023, that's not the case anymore. I mean, now
Mm-hmm.
you hear more about domestic violence situations where, I mean, what was it? Just at the beginning of June, we heard about young, and that's the part that kills me is that younger children, young adults, can't accept reality, and so what they'll do is they'll take that person's life and then take their life. And I think that's the type of closure that we don't never want to see in society, but we're seeing it a lot more now.
That's so true. And it's funny you say that because that's just something that on the way to physical therapy, we was talking about that. And we was talking about, we hit on the fact that, like you said, is it really closure when other people don't want to end on a good note? And so Mary was talking about as far as like, if, I'm trying to have this last conversation with someone to where I know that it's time for us to separate, but that other person is not willing to listen and willing to leave on a good note. Is it closure for me, or is it closure for them, or is it really closure? And I said that it's closure for me because I'm not responsible for how they feel. I'm not responsible for their actions. You know what I'm saying? And so then it gets to a point sometimes what you said, Mario, it's like sometimes when a person don't want closure, then now it starts to be where they can start stalking you. They can start, harassing you, calling, texting, whatever the case may be. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? So closure, is it for me or is it for the other person whenever I want to leave on a good note, but they don't? So is that really closure? For me, I say it is for me, but the other person, it's like they're going to have to learn they're going to have to deal with that on their own because that has nothing to do with me. My closure was coming to you as an adult, trying to have some conflict resolution, trying to end it on a good note, and then whenever, because I'm not responsible for the other person's actions. So whenever I'm able to walk away and this person is still acting a fool, Mario, for me, that's closure. They have to deal with that on their end.
Right.
Closure. Just say when it comes to pretty much internships, you have to first define what closure is to you, and then you have to put that definition into fantasy versus reality. Okay, you would like for it to end on a good note, but the reality of it is it may not end on a good note. And that's where you have to play devil's advocate and say, okay, so what if I can't talk to this person? Then well, am I good? Because the mistake people make is they put up the smoke and mirror as closure, but when in actuality you just want to see that person one more time, or you want to see how that person doing, or you want to see how they living instead of just letting it be. You're not gonna always. Your closure is having, just say for example, your closure is having that last conversation. Well, if the last conversation y'all had was the be all end all for the relationship, how is this conversation gonna be any different?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? See, you have to start out. How you start a relationship is how you should end it. I don't know why people don't understand that. You have to end it, but you have to also understand too, if you break up, boom, and one person go to the other side of the country, you may not get your said closure. And your closure applies to you. It's just like forgetting. It's for you, not for the other person. Okay, so you have to determine what your closure is going to what's your closure going to entail, how the conversation going to go. But most important than that, you need to figure out how that conversation going to go, because if all y'all do is been fussing and arguing this whole time, you have to come to terms with the reality. You may not be able to talk to that person. So what does your closure look like then? Okay, your closure, I tell you, your closure is there. You just got to move on.
And I think a closure in most cases is a state of mind.
Yes.
It's really exactly a state of mind. And it's just more, it's a state of mind, a peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, like I said, if it's on a bad situation, some people don't want you to have that peace of mind. Some people want you to pay, because it might be a painful state. I mean, someone might be in a painful state of mind, so they want to share that pain with you and make sure you're going through and you're feeling the same way they do. And I think that's where when you invested too much into that relationship,
Mhm.
Yes.
and you don't get what you like, what you put into it, you feel hurt, you feel betrayal, you feel that you wasted so much time, where you feel like, okay, this person did me wrong, so now you want to get revenge, and that's where closure turns into crazy stuff. And that thing
An
is,
excuse,
people
yeah.
need to understand is that in 2023, the mental state of the mind is not all there, for a lot of people. And and that thing is, if you're dealing with, let's say, if you're in a business type dealership, and like, and I'm gonna say this because I know that for me, I only can say most of my type of closure type scenarios have been either business related or customer related. I know, like, there was one customer. We started off, everything was good to go, but as we start to move forward with preparing for her wedding,
Mhm.
she turned into a bridezilla.
Mhm.
And when she turned into a bridezilla, okay, now you're being disrespectful. You have now, you're no longer like at the standard on how I'm going to conduct business. So I'm going to have to shut it down, and I'm going to have to walk away from this. And
Mhm.
so when I did that, what they decided to do was send me a nasty gram on a voice thing, which I didn't even listen to. I just deleted it. But that gave them their closure. So most of the time when I see someone who can't walk away from the situation, there's no reason to retaliate. Let them
Yeah.
have their closure. That voicemail,
Mhm.
that little voicemail that they sent me, was their way of feeling good about the situation, so they can walk away from it. And I
Mhm.
mean, most sometimes so believe it or not, when it comes to a closure in any type of relationship, someone has to be the bigger person.
Yes.
Somebody,
Yes.
it always comes down to, all right, don't get me wrong, every now and then you can, some people are able to meet on neutral ground and close and walk away from it, but in most cases somebody has to be the bigger
Mhm.
person, because it can become very petty.
And you know what else too, Mario? Culture can also can be like a direct answer. Like for instance, like today, I was asked a question, and I said my answer was no, right? And usually Mario and my husband know I always explain why I said no. But my closure was no. I'm saying now, no is self-explanatory. No is a complete sentence. You understand what I'm saying? Because I used to find
Right.
myself explaining why I couldn't do something, but I said now, and even having time to reflect again, being home with my leg being broke, it's like now when I give you a direct answer, that's what it is, and I don't have to explain why. Because like I said, if I said no, that means it's what it is, and so that was my closure. And so the person that I said no to, they didn't no longer text me back. You understand what I'm saying? And so it made me feel good because I was
Right.
able to just say no without explaining why I said no.
And you have to understand the
And I think,
nature.
Go ahead, Mario.
You said something, Mario?
you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. You have to understand the nature of the relationship that you're in. Okay. You have to compare your closure to the relationship that you're in. And you need to understand that depending on how that relationship was and how it ended, and you want to have that conversation, you may not get that conversation. You sometimes you it's better off that you just walk away and be done.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's better off to just leave. How they say it, it's better
Right.
to have love than loss, because it's not worth it. Because just like love, disclosure can wear many hats. It can wear
Right.
many hats, and you have to understand. Like I said before, if you argue all the time, guess what's gonna happen when you do this quote unquote closure? It's not going. What do you think? Why do you think it would be any different? Why do you think it would be any different? And you have to put fantasy versus reality. The fantasy is you would like to sit down with this person and get it all out and be done. But the reality is, how is that person now? How was that person then? And how would that person be after you had quote unquote conversation? And what if you didn't have another conversation? You have to be happy with the fact that you can't talk to this person anymore. If you and I had a falling out, okay, this business venture ain't going nowhere. I'm done. Lose my number. That's it. Well, guess what? I got to be happy with that. You got to be happy with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you say lose your number, that means you don't want to talk to me no more, right?
Mhm.
So
You have to-
you have to be accepting that. Now I'm just show up to one of his weddings and he gonna talk to me. No, accept it for what it is. If it's meant for y'all to have a conversation, guess what? You will have said conversation. Don't let this closure change your mental state, because
right.
like you alluded to, it's just a state of mind. At the end of the day, it's just a state of mind. If you don't get it, it's not a be all end all. Life sucks. Life is gonna end right then and there. No.
Let me ask you guys a question. It's a question for both of y'all. Do y'all think that closure is always a conversation
Mm-mm.
or communication? Do y'all think that closure is always got to be that, or can closure just be like? Let me just stay right there. Do y'all think closure always have to have a conversation behind it?
Absolutely not.
In most
Because
cases, you go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
absolutely not, because you're not gonna be able to talk to that person. You're not gonna be able to converse with that person. If you couldn't converse with that person before you made that decision, guess what's gonna happen if you want to talk to him one more time? It ain't gonna happen. If every time you open your mouth and you exhale, it leads to an argument, get what's gonna happen when you try to have this final conversation. 99% of the time, you get everything you need with the breakup, whether it be business or relation or romantic relationship. You get what you need in the breakup. Why would you want to talk to him one more time?
Well,
And to
I
be
think
honest,
go ahead.
and this last point, and to be honest, just like we talking about 2023, what do you need close for somebody that texts you is over? Y'all ain't got nothing to talk about. If all that person think of you as a text message, or what they call a DM, or Facebook message, oh, it's over. Hope you be successful in life. What y'all need to talk about again? That's all the closure you need.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because like in most cases, like with me, like I said, I've been in business for 10 years, and I think I've only canceled 4 events. I actually had to cancel the events because of how the customer was acting. And all I do was I do a formal counsel letter and I send to them. And like when I had one customer decided they want to call and talk about it, I'm like, there's nothing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I gave you a standard. And see, my thing is when I get to the point where we don't need to talk anymore, I means I've already attempted to try to resolve the situation. So then it's time to walk away from it. It's like if I sat back and I told you, okay, this is my standard on how I do business. Okay, I need for you to submit yourself to me 14 days prior. 14 days pass. Okay, it's in the contract. You have a verbal and you have an actual document that says it will be done 14 days prior. Time goes by, you don't do it. Technically, after 14 days, I can walk away based off that
Mm-hmm.
contract. But you know what? I try to work with people, and I say, well, look, here it is. It's 7 days prior to your wedding. I don't have the documentation. Well, I'll get it to you when I want to.
Oh,
Okay.
alrighty then.
Those comments by itself, you just sealed the deal on closure that I need to hear that, oh, you don't take me seriously. So I'm going to do this cancellation letter. I'm going to send it to you and we're done. Now, why would you want to talk about it even after you made that comment? There's nothing else to talk about. You feel as though you are that powerful now, you have so much authority to where you're just going to disregard the contract that's in place. I'm not going to take on a job that allows people to disregard my standard. My standards are there for a reason, is to make sure your event comes out successfully. So when you go into a relationship of any type, the boundaries are already very well established.
Yes.
And when you violate those boundaries and those standards, some conversations don't need to be had. You already know what you
Right.
did. It's just
Mhm.
like if here it is, you're in a relationship and I catch you cheating. What is there to talk about? I mean, I get it. Y'all know the show back in the days, Cheaters,
Yeah.
Mhm.
where they get caught, but they want to have a conversation. Okay, but the person that hire cheaters to come after you is that because they're looking for that closure to where they want to make sure it wasn't them, that it was something going on wrong with them. So that whole thing about cheaters was the path to closure. So my thing is, if you go on a path to find out the truth and you get the truth, why should there be a conversation?
And if you know that the reason why you broke up is this, that, and the third, why do you need to have a conversation? How you break up determines if you're gonna have that last conversation or not. If it's horrible,
Right.
like you said, if it's a horrible, what do you need to talk about? I just want to hear what he got to say. Well, what
What?
can he or she say to change what happened? I just want to know how. And you have to understand too that your closure is not my closure. It's not her closure. This, that, and the third. Once you reach your closure, don't let nobody change your definition, because what they trying to do is suck you in to whatever they got going on and whatever they cause you to do. And you have to understand that, because horrible breakups, you have to walk away from that.
You know
Now,
what?
if it's one of them things to where we decide we how they say amicably, we both decide, yeah, let's go ahead and let's divorce. That's different. Okay, what happened? We grew apart, so on and so forth. I got what I need. Boom, move on. That's different. But
Right.
with these horrible, horrible breakups, you're fooling yourself into thinking one more conversation gonna fix this. No, you need to understand that you walking away is good enough, and you dodged the bullet.
Well, I mean, think about it. This is the thing about when people are seeking closure. Are they seeking closure, or are they seeking revenge? Are they seeking another chance? I mean, it's like the whole thing
What we
about
talked about.
closure is it's like it's just one of those things to where, like, for example, let's go back and use that same scenario. I just caught you cheating,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is there to talk about? I mean, if you want to save the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's different. But if we put out standards, and let's say in a relationship, better yet, let's say in a marriage,
Yeah.
and you violate those things, I mean, what is it to talk about? And I think that's when people say closure. Okay, it's a false pretense, because that's why I said sometimes you have to be careful when people say they're seeking closure, because in some cases they might have a hidden agenda behind that closure.
That's right.
That
Yep.
hidden agenda could be to where, okay, I want to make you just as miserable as you just made me, or
Yeah.
I want to try to get another chance to figure out. I mean, my thing is when you're seeking closure, you're seeking to end whatever conversation,
Yes.
relationship that it is. So that's why I say it's in today's 2023 definition of closure. It has so many different meanings compared to back in the days where it only had maybe three different ways you could look at it. But now, like, I mean, we see it all the time. Domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people use that word closure to do some harm to that person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just want to talk and make sure, we can do this. And then you sit there and you talk to them, and then before you know it, they're trying to kill you. So sometimes closure is just walking away without having the words said.
Yes.
You just answered the question I was going to ask. Is closure necessary? You know what I'm saying? When you just said, sometimes it's just best to walk away.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just best to
Yeah.
walk
Yeah,
away
I know.
from it.
Yep. Regardless of your definition, sometimes the closure is you walking away, dodging that bullet. And
Mhm.
see with the relation with one of them ships, even the same, whether it be relationship or business relationship, it don't matter. You have to monitor the relationship. Okay, if you the only one that's talking and communicating, it's not gonna work. So then that means when that person say closure, wait a minute, you ain't never talked about closure. You better run. Can we just meet one more time so we can have closure? See, that person is doing that to suck you in because that's what you talked about. See, conversation is a two-way street. So if you talking, I should be listening, and then I should be responding, and vice versa. But if you're the only one that's putting out, then guess what? That closure is you leaving.
And we've seen that many times, Mario, even with just some of the TV shows that we watch based on true story, where young ladies they fall for it. The guy say, I just need to, can you meet me somewhere? I just want to, just have a conversation with you this last time. And they end up going by themselves, Mario, and they never come back home. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You're never gonna suck me.
No,
Look, you're never gonna suck me into that. No, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
now.
And I believe that's one of the biggest things. Like, for me, for example, for a customer, it's like when like that's why at the very beginning of the relationship, you put out your standards. You put out what
Yeah.
it is you're expecting in life.
That's
You're
right.
telling them
That's right.
what it is. And so when they violate that, then in most cases, there's no reason to talk about it.
No.
It was very crystal clear that this would be a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
I explained it to you in your contract. I explained to you verbally, and over the time we talked about it in detail. And just like I said, in a relationship, in a marriage, it's the standards have been put in place.
Mm-hmm.
When you violate a standard, the only reason we need to talk is if we're trying to resolve the issue to where either we're going to move forward or we're going to end it.
Mm-hmm.
But in some cases, some people can't accept leaving on bad terms.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, peace. I mean, it's not. I don't. It's like I don't care for all the extra drama. I don't care. I mean, I've been through that. When we were young, we went through all the extra drama. And,
Yes.
oh man, I don't want you to leave me. Oh well, whatever.
Can we just talk? No.
No, that's all right. We good.
You get the can we talk? Y'all talk for about 10 minutes and you leave because I ain't got nothing to say. And all of a sudden you come to your boy and I ain't know y'all got back together. Who?
Right. And that's
you and her.
And I think that's what people have to understand is that sometimes you got to cut the drama short.
Yes.
Sometimes closure is just completely walking away from it.
That's right. That's right. If you and I on the business side, if you and I were in a business and it ended horribly, we went our separate ways, depending on what happened, there really ain't no need to discuss it. It ended horribly. Somebody was embezzling money. What we need to talk about? What, going into business again? No.
Look, what can you possibly say? Oh, I accidentally stole the $1 million and bought a yacht. We're like, oh,
I
you
just
accidentally?
woke up and it was in there. I don't know how I got there.
And I think also too, going back to what we talked about before, I think closure also sometimes we normalize bad behavior, and that's why sometimes we think in our minds that we have to have closure because we accept the bad behavior that's been going on for so long to where we feel like that's a part of it, and which is really not. And so, like Eric was saying, it's like you have to pay attention to no matter what type of relationship or the ship that you're in. You have to look at the pattern. You have to look at if you're able to be able to have a conversation with this person. You have to make sure that those boundaries were not crossed. The respect had to still be there. It's a lot of things that should have been in place from the beginning to say whether or not if I decide to have closure or if there's no closure, then I did my part way in the relationship. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, if you decide that you want to just walk away without no type of communication, without no type of closure, then it's okay, because you know you crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. Like I said, again, you're not responsible for the other person's feelings, how they feel or whatever. Once you come at peace with your closure, then you'll be okay. Like you said, Mario, it's a peace of mind. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that peace of mind, once you're able to go to sleep at night, once you're able to say, you know what, I know I didn't do anything wrong, then whatever they're dealing with on that side, that's on them. Your closure is you knowing that you walked away, being whole, because you did right. So yeah, sometimes closure isn't necessary.
And the thing is, though, when you go through life
Mm-hmm.
and you've had situations like me, I can tell you this: I've had someone I thought of as a best friend, and we can pretty much talk about everything. And pretty much when I was straight up honest with her about what she was doing, about how she was doing, how she was living, and how she was dealing with her children, we were having a conversation. She hung up the phone. Okay, that means to me, you're gonna be disrespectful and hang up the phone on me because I'm being honest. Oh, we don't need to talk no more.
No, there's no need.
There's no need to talk about no more. If you can't talk to me like a regular person, I disagree with what you're saying. I don't, that's what. But when you get so mad because you're hearing the truth, and you just hang up the phone, and you don't want to talk about, what, then it might not be best to be friends anymore. And at that point, there is no reason to have any closure to that situation. There's no reason to chase behind somebody that is disrespectful, that doesn't think about. Because, like I said, me personally, if I disagree with you, I'm going to tell you I disagree with you, because I have respect for our friendship. But if you just get so mad and upset, you're going to just hang up the phone because you don't like what I'm saying, then you know what? That's what friends do. They tell you stuff that you don't want to hear.
Yep.
And if you want to hear,
if you can't accept the truth, then maybe you don't need to be friends.
That's right.
So that's that closure. So hey, someone, that's what I say, when someone disrespect you to the highest, most possible way, why do you need closure with that person? They've already given you closure.
Because you know that person, be honest, you think you know that person. So if you felt a certain type of way, then you should have said that. What works for us is no matter where a person is, we gonna talk about it. If I felt like she said I got one big foot and one small foot, and I gotta go to her and I gotta tell her how that made me feel. We talk about it and get done. That's closure right there. Okay, I didn't know it hurt your feelings, so on and so forth, and move on from that. But what people are not doing is they're not defining their closure. They're not doing the fantasy versus reality. And the biggest thing is they're not applying it to their relationship. They're not applying it, because if you were, then you would run your relationship accordingly. So this is what closure is for me. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I need to apply it to this relationship. That's your answer right there. If your closure is not applying to their relationship, guess what's going to happen when you decide to go to that person and want to talk to them? It ain't going to happen. And there can be some situation like your best friend. All of a sudden, y'all were cool and they just stopped talking. They just stopped communicating with you. That's your closure right there. Now, would you talk to him again? Yeah, I talked to him. But am I going to rush it? No, because I wasn't the one that stopped it. You see what I'm saying? So that's your closure right there. Keep it going.
Right. And then, you said something that made me think. And this is the part that is interesting. Okay, let's. I'm about to completely flip the whole switch. I mean, this is crazy. It just came across my mind. Okay. Why do people, and this is, I know a lot of people are going to hate what I'm about to say. Why do people go to places that they can't stand? They'll keep going to a place, they can't stand it, but they keep going to it.
Mm-hmm.
At what point are you going to close it down and stop going? I mean, they complain 24/7, and they don't want, like, it's like, okay, if I get tired of something, like for example, if I go to Mickey D's and every time I go to Mickey D's they mess up my fries, I'm not gonna go to Mickey D's anymore.
Exactly.
It's like at some point in time, you need to go ahead and put closure into effect. I mean,
That's right.
it's like,
That is true.
it's like, why would you? And it's like, I sit back and I listen to people. They'll go and they'll complain and they'll complain
And go right back.
and then they'll go right back to it.
Where you at, Waffle House? Didn't you just say?
Just something to talk about.
Didn't you just say?
I think it's just something.
The last 20 times.
I think it's just something to have something to say, Mario. I really believe that because you're right. I mean, if you're complaining about a certain place or whatever the case may be, and you continue to go back, you're gonna be one of those ones that's gonna have a hard time with closure. You know,
I mean, I look at this, like the Hardee's on the corner of Skybo and Rayford Road. They messed up my order so bad I wouldn't go back anymore. And then within a month later, they close it down. That says a lot about that place. That was my closure. Like where I go. See, my closure was I knew I wasn't the only one. That's why they closed the store down. So I mean, you know, that's where you know there's bad customer service. But then some people will get upset, and their closure is to make sure that place closes.
True.
So that's what I'm saying is like closure for different people is like when they get mistreated to a degree. As a client, as a customer, when you get mistreated, you know, what's the first thing you want to do is go after their reputation.
Yep.
So they don't do it to somebody else. I mean, and I think that's the thing of like just like my thing. Let's say, for example, with or I should say, with two of the venues, I won't provide services to them anymore. That was my closure. They messed up so many different events to where, okay, you know what? Ain't no reason to have a conversation about this no more. I'm just not going to provide services anymore. Well, why not? It's not up for discussion.
That's right.
I'm just not going to provide services there. They were bad in the past. Why would I take a chance of failing? When like if I work with this venue, there's a 50-50 chance my event is going to fail. Mm-hmm. But if I go to this venue, at least I have 100% chance that it can be successful.
Yeah.
And whose name gonna be on the line? Yours.
Right, your reputation.
I went to that place and I knew I shouldn't have gone. I said I wasn't going back, and I went anyway.
And a lot of times people feel like we have to explain closure. Like you just said, it's like that's not up for discussion. You understand what I'm saying? They should have enough respect for you to say, you know, when you tell them that it's not up for discussion, to where that should be it. That should just be it. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's experience is not the same. You know, because some of the same people, these two venues that you're talking about, some of the same people will continue to go to that venue to DJ or whatever the case may be, and they probably are some of the ones too that's still complaining about those venues, but they still going because they feel like that's making money. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like you said, sometimes like the financial part, sometimes it's not always about that money, because if it's bad business practice, whatever the case may be, I don't even want that money. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't even want that money, because like for instance, like one of the venues as well, you know, not even gonna say the name, but you know, I would never ever have anything in that venue, you know, just the way that, you know, even and I wasn't even the one having the party, but just the experience of a birthday of a guest and a customer there, it was just, I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying?
There was nothing. And
so my closure was that night I left out of there after that birthday party. That was it for me.
Right. But see, to me, it's one of those things like my closure. Let's take that same situation as a professional vendor. It's in my best interest to do what I can to warn customers about how bad the situation is. So what my closure was is I went and wrote a review in detail on why my company will no longer provide services there. It's not personal. It's business oriented. So that actual review was my closure to that situation. Mm-hmm. Everything dealing with closure, there's always a right and wrong way of doing it. And I think that's the part that people have to understand is that when there's a closure in a deal or closure in a relationship, you have to understand that there's a right way to walk away from it, and then there's a way that you get locked up, put in prison. And so you have to kind of like come to that. And again, all closure is a state of mind. If you have the right mindset, you're going to be okay. If you have a bad mindset, you might be locked up, or dead. You know, but that's the sad thing is that if you have situations where, okay, if you go out and you get your butt kicked, okay, sometimes it's best. Okay, you know what? I gave my best. I got my butt kicked. Walk away from it. Not in 2023. You get your butt kicked, someone's gonna go get a gun and they're gonna come back and try to shoot you.
Yes.
Try to take your life. And I think that's the type of things people have to understand is that you gotta look at closure as it's a state of mind. And you got to be able to control that state of mind. Before you do something extremely stupid. Because once you do something,
you can't
there's no coming back from it.
No coming back.
There's no coming back from it.
And the one Mario that went back and got the gun because they got their butt whooped, they the one that started the fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So
it's like they couldn't deal with the fact that their closure was, okay, you know, I wanted to fight, but you know, you're upset. Now you're gonna come back in here. Now you're gonna do something to me to make me, you know what I'm saying, to hurt me. But you started it, but you know, it's crazy.
What sucks the part that sucks the most is we all take L's in life. We all do.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because you had to cancel that contract 7 days before. Do you need to go call? You need to gather us up together so we can go there and tell the venue because they had you cancel contract. No, you just don't deal with that person no more.
Yeah.
I love freedom. Freedom ain't did nothing to me. I'm not going to jeopardize my freedom over nothing stupid. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like you said, hey, dust yourself off. Look at that video. Or that comedian Desi Banks, you need to look it up and see it when you lost a fight. What was like when you lost a fight, you sitting in the car with your boys. Sometimes you gotta do that, man. Just ride in the car quiet all the way home. Don't say nothing.
That's it.
Hey,
and I think that's the part.
Hey, take that L, bro. It's not worth it. That L gonna turn to life in prison. You ain't gonna be losing. It's gonna be life in prison.
But you know what? And I think that's the thing in today's society, though. People don't know how to take no for an answer.
Conflict resolution.
And I think that's what's going on in today's society. I mean, like you look at now, we even got names for it called Karens, Kevins, where
Kens.
I'm sorry, I said Kevin, but Kens, where they don't know how to just walk away from a situation.
No.
Sometimes your closure is you don't have to go in and I mean, like I need to know if you live here or not. That's my closure.
No, you don't.
What difference does it make if you live here or not? I mean, see, people are seeking all the wrong closure, and see, that's when closure turns into power control.
Yes.
You want to have control over. There's a difference between closure and control. You got the wrong seat. You trying to go from closure to control. And you really can't do that. And I think that's what and I think that's what people have to understand is that a lot of people are seeking more control than closure. There's a big
and that's what that can we talk this one more time? Can we meet up there one more time?
That's control.
The next question should be your answer should be no, and your next thing is to call the family. Do the hooty hoo and they come over there and be waiting because once you say that no,
they go
then all right, well then you ain't gonna come to me, I'm gonna come to you. No, it ain't gonna be none of that, fella. It's not.
See, most of the time, you know what kind of relationship you're in. You know what kind of customer relationship you're in. You know what kind of business orientation you're in. You know what kind of friendship you're in. You kind of know. And see, one thing about friendship, family, is a friendship is always temporary. People need to understand it. Some people are there for the rest of your life. Some people are going to be in your life for all your life, and some of them are just for the season. You have to understand that not every friendship is going to last forever.
That's right.
A good friendship will.
And we can all attest to that.
And I think that's what people are like, oh, but I want to still be friends. Really?
I mean, seriously, that's not how y'all got into it. Or I mean, seriously, you have to put that closure and apply it to your relationship.
Right.
I mean, after so much time, you owe it to each other to talk about
Right.
it. You know, we've been in business for 5 years instead of 5 months. We've been in business for 5 years. We do need to come together, either if it's a mediator or not, figure out what happened and just go on and get it over with. You've been together you've been in business 5 months? Nah, bro, we ain't got nothing to talk about. No,
Right.
we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Like,
Because
well,
it can be a miscommunication. It can be.
it can be. It could be. It could
Yeah.
be. But like I said, but you know, like I said, go back to that same scenario. You know, you embezzle $1 million and bought a yacht and bought an island. And,
No, that right there.
you know,
nah,
you
bro.
accidentally did all this stuff.
No,
what is it
bro.
to talk about? You know,
Well, I accidentally lose my number and never call me again. How about that?
Or accidentally get my $1 million back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, on purpose. No, on purpose, give my $1 million back. You know.
So,
But yeah,
but you're not there.
Yeah.
People are not applying their closure to their relationship. They're waiting to a time of closure, which is already too late to try to apply. No, you have to see where you are, what happened. I'm sorry, you have to see where you are, what led up to it, what happened, and can you have a conversation? All that should be rolled up into one when it happened. And that'll let you know, because everything in the conversation.
and I think certain things also can define closure for all of us. I think sometimes whenever you're silent, when somebody is silent, that to me is closure, especially whenever they're silent for a long time. I think sometimes when people say certain words or phrases, that's closure. I think when people hang up in your face, you know.
well, that's straight up closure there because
That's sensitive.
Mario.
That's sensitive. That's sensitive to him.
no, I mean, no. My thing is, you can't look. You hang up the phone like just because I told you the truth. I guess that friendship is over, and you have to walk away from it. And so then, like, you know, some people they retaliate. They want to go on social media and just blow the person up.
Yes.
And
oh my goodness.
and the thing is, and this is the thing that people have to understand. It is best to live an honest life than a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And closure, a lot in 2023 gets confused with control. Closure is the easiest way to control somebody.
That's true.
How you do it, when you do it, and the way you do it has a control mechanism on an individual's mental state of mind. And people will claim they're closing out, but in reality, mentally destroying that other person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people have to understand that closure is only, and I always say it's always a state of mind, because it turns into control.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like how a person is acting. Like what Marcel, what you just said, if a person goes silent, that is a state of mind to where they're trying to control for you to make the move for you to end things, or for you to make the wrong move to give them the ammunition to end things.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a method
to
of what closure is, because closure and control are so close together that you can easily get them confused.
And sometimes the control can be to where they can be silent because they feel like, you know, it's like sometimes people feel like they on this pedestal, and they feel like that you're going to run behind them to either try to save the friendship, be their friend, or whatever the case may be. And when you don't do that, you know what I'm saying? That's where the control can come in sometimes too. And then when you don't do that, then it's like sometimes they'll make that first move to see if there is closure, or do we need to get closure. So, you know, you're right. Control, sometimes silence can be controlled, because it's like, okay, well, I ain't gonna say nothing either. I'm gonna see how far, you know, I can take this. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see if he or she gonna come to me and what they're gonna say. So yeah, I just look at different things with closure. When like I said, I look at, you know, silence. I look at some of the phrases that you say. I look, like you say, the actions. You know what I'm saying, Mario? Like actions. If I'm having a conversation with you and then you just hang up on me, then okay.
Look, Mr. Telephone Man. You know, it's like,
hey, that's closure right there.
Hey, Mom, have you ever seen that commercial a long time ago? That little girl talking about, I can't believe they hung up on mine.
Think about it.
That was so funny.
When you dial your baby number, you get a click every time. Your baby don't want to talk to you, player. That's closure.
That's closure. You know, right? You know.
Number.
I mean, Mr. Telephone Man. Look, calling Mr. Telephone Man ain't gonna change that.
They ain't gonna change. Why you calling Spectrum? Spectrum got nothing to do there. Her don't want to, like my grandbaby said. Her don't want to talk to you.
Right. Yeah. I think that's where people have to understand that when you come to that point in time, where I mean, it's not like I said, it's relationships, it's business orientation.
It applies to all.
It's just like it's one of those things to where, like, I remember, someone got fired from a job, and instead of just first thing first is you go out and you do something to get fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go out and you're stealing money from the company that you're working from, you get fired. How is it you feel that you want to go out now and turn them into the bad guy when you were the one that did wrong?
Yep.
It's the same thing where I mean, I use that as an example because, like, a lot of people now, they get fired because they did something wrong, but then they're going to go on social media and make the situation to where they're the victim. Same thing where if someone goes out and just like this, I think I heard it. I'm listening to this craziness on the news where some North Carolina representative was cheating with some assistant principal, and then the husband suing the dude that's cheating with his wife. Dude, why are you suing the dude? Your wife was the one that cheated with him. So why?
I mean to cut you off, Mario, but I think that North Carolina has that law, though. You know,
right. And my thing is, see, to me, that's not closure. That's revenge. Mm-hmm. So to me, that law is a quick way to get the closure that you want, because you're now gonna go out here and you're gonna ruin somebody because your wife is out here messing around, and then the wife is saying she felt that if she didn't keep having this affair, that he was going to do something to get her fired from her job.
Well, you know,
principal.
Well,
what can he possibly do to get you fired from your job?
Well, can I kind of be different with that? Because, you know, like you said, we don't always agree. Where I disagree with that is the fact that, okay, like you said, you know, there's a saying that we always go after the wrong person. Okay, just let's say, for instance, my husband stepped outside the marriage, right? Okay, when he walks out the door, he knows he's married, right? Okay, right. I think it becomes where I can blame both whenever, even though it's like he's my husband, so the obligation to him to go out here and be, you know, faithful in the marriage, yes, that's him. But once you know, I feel like this, Mario, once you know that man or that woman is married and you continue in the relationship with that person as well, then I believe that it is on both of those people. That's just the way I feel. You know what I'm saying? Because we always say, well, you always running after the woman. What about the man? Yes, I'm going to deal with him. But I think that both people have to take accountability, because once you know that man or that woman is married and you continue to, because it takes two people to tangle, right? It takes two people to tangle. So once you continue on with that affair with that person that you know is married, then I think that now both parties should play a part in that. That's just how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I can understand that, but to me, the whole obligation is it would not exist if someone held up to their vows.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But
I mean, it's like when it all comes said and done.
No, that's true. That's true.
I mean, because like I said, like a person is going to, if you're going to give them free stuff, are you going to turn it down?
Not all.
Especially if you're enjoying.
Well,
I mean, like I said, it's like if every time I go and I deal with this person and they're giving me $5,000, am I going to say, okay, where are you getting the money from?
Okay, but at what point are your principles gonna come into place? You understand what I'm saying? Because just because someone's straight, you don't have to play. You see what I'm saying? Yes. Well, be that woman or that man to say, you know what? If I get into this relationship with this person stepping out on their spouse, then if this person decides to leave their spouse, why would I even trust them? Because they're cheating with me. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm.
But my thing is, again, but I go back to
something we can talk about too.
right. I'm just saying though, it's like, why am I? I mean, it's like I didn't say I do.
But Mario, God is not gonna. But Mario, listen, God is not just gonna hold you accountable, and not the woman that I'm just using you for example, and not the woman that you cheated with. You're not gonna be able to stand in front of God and say, well, you know what? He was the husband. You just go on over there somewhere and sit down because you know what? No, it's not. In the reality, that's not just like here on earth. We feel like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do things, and when I die, okay, maybe I'm gonna go to heaven or hell. You see what I'm saying? Because some people, they rather deal with the consequences when it's really time to deal with the consequences. But I'm saying, and I think that's something that we can debate on. We can just, we can really talk about that. But I really feel, Mario, that yes, my husband, he has an obligation to me. But after the fact that he go out here and he stepped out and she finds out that this man is married, then Mario, the obligation it falls on her as well too. That's just that's for real.
But see, you gotta understand, this is 2023. We got side pieces now. That's what. I mean, that song wouldn't exist. I mean, believe it or not, that's the new 2023 now.
And some people, they happy with that too, Mario.
Yeah, they got side pieces, and I got a side piece, so we can go ahead and play them games. Go ahead and play them games. Yeah.
Look, I ain't got no side piece of any of the above. So
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mario, look, check this out though. Like, that's right, because look, it was so funny because Mr. Willie one time, I don't know, I think it was who told me that. Somebody in the skate ring was trying to talk to me, right? So Mr. Willie was like, she is married. She is off limits. I said, you go on, Mr. Willie. Mr. Willie was like, nope.
And then he'll turn right around and try to talk to another married woman.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Well, I guess he know I'll play, so I guess he was like, she don't play, so I was like, she already married, don't try to talk to her, I just had it was funny though. I was like, Mr. Willie, you go ahead. But
I think that's one of the things that people have to understand is like when it comes to that closure situation, who's the primary person at fault for it? Because I understand that if the other person knows that they're married and they get involved with them, it's a difference to where if at first we got involved and we didn't know, but we're like, oh, but you dude's best friend. You knew that they were together.
Yeah.
That's a different scenario. And I think that's the part that where people have to understand when you come across a situation like that, it should be, to me, it should be a degree of it should be easy for closure to happen. Now I get it. Sometimes you invested so much into it, you want all that investment back in your return.
Oh yeah, that's when the wife gonna find out. That's when sometimes people go to the extreme, they kill the wife. You know what I'm saying? That's just crazy. And that's when you do blame the husband because of the fact that you created this whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You created all that, So I can look at it both ways and stuff like that. But I was just looking at it in a way to where it's like once you know that this person is married and stuff like that, and you continue to have a relationship.
A willing participant.
Yeah, you're
no longer victim.
Yeah,
you're a willing participant.
Yeah.
But then you look at a situation like that. That means that there should have been closure a long time ago, and no one wanted to live in reality. And I think that's what closure is all about.
Yeah.
It's being real. It's being honest and living in reality.
Fantasy versus reality.
Some people don't know what closure is. Some people won't give it closure. They'll know it's over.
Look, the rest of your life is gonna be a living hell. I promise.
Right. I mean, think about it. You listen to all these people. You listen to all these people who are no longer living together but still married. They're living it, moved on, have girlfriends, boyfriends, got families and everything. Because I think there was a situation. I think I remember reading something on how somebody had. I guess it was they were married, but they were separate, and then one of them passed away, and the girlfriend, or I think it was like the girlfriend that the dude was with, got nothing because he was still married to the woman.
Mario, and you know what? We talk about this all the time. And you know what, Mario? I feel like this. And this is just me too. Because you just put a title on something, right? But I always say, and Kat say this a lot. She said, I don't care if you're dating or if you're in a committed relationship, you are still single until you become a husband and wife, right? Okay. Right. And then not only that, Mario, I lost my train of thought. Not only that, it's like, how can you put a title on, like, this is my husband, right? Let's just say we going through some things right now. We kind of like separated, right? How can he have a fiance or a girlfriend when he got a whole wife? I don't care. There's no closure there right now. And you know what I'm saying? No, you just, you know what I'm saying?
It's not even a half a wife, a whole wife. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
I
I call them in those situations. I don't care what nobody think about. I call them big dummies. Because you know why? Even if you are separated for 15 years.
Yep.
I bought her a Lexus. I bought her an Escalade. I bought her 4 homes. You know what I'm saying?
Something happened to him.
If something happened to him, she coming over there 10 years later and cleaning house. Mm-hmm. What's she going to be left with? Nothing. Because you're a big dummy. You don't commit to somebody that's already committed. That's null and void. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. So you did it to yourself. I don't feel sorry for you because there is no reason for you to be shacking up with somebody that long without a ring on it. But that's a whole nother.
But that's a whole degree of closure. No, what I'm saying though, but that's a whole degree of closure though. Because think about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and that's what I say. What we're talking about is closure. But like sometimes you need to have closure because if you don't have closure, it could come back and bite you later on in your life. Or when your life is over. So
yes,
and that's your closure. When that wife 10 years later come up in there and clean house and you get nothing.
Well, we had a and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna give us a quick because I got to leave at 8:00. We had a friend that's what happened to. He was stepping out on his wife. I mean, for real. And so he ended up passing away at the so-called girlfriend house. He had a heart attack and they had to call the wife before they even did any kind of shipped him anywhere, his body, anything. And that is so embarrassing because just imagine the EMT, the police officers, like, you're not the wife. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not the wife. And the wife had to actually come over there to the house, Mario, before they was able to do anything to her husband's body. And then when she came, she took his slingshot, everything that he owned. And so it's like, and then when they had the funeral, the wife sat there and made sure she didn't come through the doors, Mario.
But
that's a sad situation, you know.
But that goes back. But again, it goes back to where he didn't do the right thing. There was no closure. I mean, sometimes you can't. It's like you can't have and this is the part that sometimes you have to close a door in order to open another one. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem in today is people want to leave doors open because they want to come and go as they please. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you need to shut that off.
Yeah,
you need to cut that off. And I think that's where people want to, I was joking earlier about the side piece, but that's where side piece comes from is somebody's not closing that door.
That's true. Yeah, that is so true. And also a side piece can be someone that, just think that he's going to give closure real soon. So that's why I'm still hanging on. Like you said, it's 15 years later and he's still telling you that I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave her. You know what I'm saying? So her closure is him deciding on when his closure going to be. And that's why she's attached to the hip for so long. And then something end up happening to him and then the wife gets everything. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So I guess I'm trying to find a question for us to, so closing morals, what would be, so to you, Mario and Eric, the question is, does closure really have to be for both people or can it just be for one person?
I think closure has to deal with your state of mind. In some cases, if your state of mind is weakened for a situation, some people may need that closure. But if you have a strong state of mind And when I say strong state of mind, is that you're understanding who you are and your boundaries, and you
Mhm.
can say, okay, this person, honestly, there's no way this person can come back from what they just did. I can walk away from it. There's
Okay.
no, if I know there's no chance of this situation to be resolved,
Mhm.
and I just walk away from it. But it's just again, it's more of your state of mind on what you think you need in order for it to be over. Some people need to have that big argument. That some people need to throw their car in the river. Some people need to burn the house down. Whatever it is, that you want to do, you have to you have to understand its consequences.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you can do it the right way, you can do it the wrong way, but it's a state of mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Closure is like forgiveness. It's for you, not for the other person. But at the same time, if you apply your closure to their relationship, you will know what type of closure you need upon the relationship ending. Because if you, like I said, if you argued the whole time, get what you're gonna do when you sit down and talk again. Now, on the flip side, it can be amicable. You both decide that you're gonna you're gonna part ways. Okay, then you can have that conversation. But see, you're gonna already have had that conversation because you both decide amicably to walk away. But you need to understand that the closure is for you, and that don't necessarily mean a conversation. Your closure again can be you walking away down the bullet. Because if you weigh it against their relationship, that's gonna tell you if you can talk or walk.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna tell you. That's what it's gonna tell you.
And my closure for me means that the state of mind that I'm in 2023, and the boundaries that already been crossed. That's my closure for me. My state of mind, where I'm at this moment, and the boundaries, who that person that I should or should not have closure with, if those boundaries have already been crossed, that's my closure.
There you go. So with
That's a
that
great
being,
one.
so I think with that being said, I believe we know what closure means. We know exactly, like, so if I catch, like I said, so if you see your boyfriend jumping out the window butt naked out of somebody else's house, that means your relationship is over. Hey,
And considering yourself, her side piece is gonna get you hit with a side piece.
right.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
so now we understand from all of this that when there is no closure, that is defined as side piece. Um, when you don't close this down,
Oh boy.
when you don't close it
Back
down,
it
there's a
again.
side piece. I mean, think about it. If you don't close down a friendship, you got a side piece. If you don't close down a relationship, you got a side piece. You got somebody to fill that void, but they're not
Yeah,
the
they
full
still they
thing.
still hold it on. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I get it.
So you
I
can't
get it.
commit to something if you're just a side, you got to have
Yeah.
the whole.
And don't forget Friday, every Friday we all got to put in our suggestions on what our next topic will be for next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Have it by
All
well, at
right.
least by Friday, but if not, at least before, I'll say by Sunday.
Okay. Well, look. We'll talk a little bit about it. Let me close the show out.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the show. Again, this is just our thoughts. There was really no hardcore facts in this one. This is more of pretty much what you think, what closure should be, and think about some of you are going through it as we speak. Some of you don't want to close. You need to go back and close a chapter in order to begin a new chapter. So that's
Yes.
what we're talking about. Is life itself. When you don't close, if you don't get closure, you're stuck. So close them doors and say no to side pieces.
All right. Have a good
Good night,
evening.
everyone.
All right.